All right, so I hope you have your handout in front of you. Let's work on our corporate brand. Now, this should be pretty easy for most of us. We've probably gone through some training like this before, whether it's a 30-second elevator pitch or something like that. We all have a pretty good idea of our corporate brand, but let's take some time now and let's go through what the components are of your corporate brand. Well, first, obviously you want to include your name, your company, your title, maybe a subgroup that represents you within that organization, your year's experience, your geography, what area that you are, and of course, what industry you're involved in. You can add or subtract some of those things, but I would maintain those primary features and write those down and have that in a way that you can, at any given point, stand up and recite that by memory. All right, so now that we've taken some time to jot down what our corporate brand is and build our corporate brand, let's take a couple of minutes and I'm going to explain to you how to best sell that brand to others. First, obviously, you want to look at LinkedIn. And I know, you want to look at LinkedIn to make sure that you know the person you're talking to and click and connect with them. You want to look at LinkedIn as well to figure out who you're selling to. If you're meeting with 2 or 3 people, you want to see if your qualifications, what makes you a great candidate or makes you a great employer, what makes you so special, right? From a corporate brand perspective. So using LinkedIn is a great opportunity. And make sure that if I Google you, if I Google your name, that how you're represented on LinkedIn and on Google matches with the corporate brand that you just wrote down. Secondly, you want to focus on your specialty, right? What makes you so special? If you're an accountant, why are you the best accountant? Right? If you're a nurse, why are you the best nurse? If you're whatever, what makes you so special? What is something that maybe you and only a few other people know? If you don't have that yet, think about it, create it, grow it, so that next time you're actually talking to someone and selling your corporate brand, you're not just giving them a 30-second elevator pitch. You're giving them the 30-second elevator pitch with an extra 10 seconds of, here's why mine is different than everyone else's. And another way that you can make sure that you stand out and your corporate brand stands out is through case studies. Here's what I do. Okay, great. So I am a tax professional. Awesome. So what does that mean? Well, I help people with their taxes. Okay. Give me a case study. Give me a time that someone completely messed up their taxes and it was a small family business and they almost went bankrupt and the 4th generation that owned the business almost completely made the family hate them. Okay. And then you stepped in and helped them with their taxes, helped them figure out what those gaps are and got them across and prevented any major financial issues. Whatever it is. Create those case studies. If they don't exist, find one. Go make one happen because your corporate brand is only as good as how I understand it. And the way I understand anything, the way any of us understand anything is through anecdotes and case studies. When you're selling those case studies to others, you want to use the word value as often as you possibly can. Here's how I add value. I add value by doing this. Here's one of the more valuable things that I do, right? The word value triggers something in people's minds where they go, okay, I'm listening. I'm hearing. Compliance does not do that. Day to day, that does not unlock the trigger in people's minds. The word value, they immediately perk up and they go, okay, what do you do to add value? How are you adding value? How is what you do valuable? And then be able to back that up by saying, I provide value. I add value by doing this, by doing that. That's how you sell your corporate brand. Do you know all of the facts and figures about your company? Do you know when you were incorporated, when you were founded? Do you know who your founder is, if that founder is still alive? Do you know who your CEO and your CFO are, your executives? Do you know some of the major philanthropic ventures that you're involved in? If you know what's happening, people automatically assume that regardless of what you're doing, regardless of the rest of your corporate brand, if you know that industry, they can trust you. And lastly, you have to know your geography. I'm in the greater Philadelphia region. I'm a proud Philadelphian. If anyone comes into here and wants to do business in my city, they're going to get hit with every fact that I know about the city because I know as much about the city as anyone. I've grown up here. I lived here. I've loved, learned, laughed, everything right here in greater Philadelphia. If you come around here, I'm going to know everything about it, okay? Does that matter? Probably not. But if you want to do business in greater Philadelphia and you're talking to me, I'm probably the right person to talk to. Does it say anything about everything else that I do? My specialty, my expertise, who I am? No. All it says is that we are currently standing in a region that I know a whole lot about. So if you want to grow your business, you want to expand your business, you want to hire a prospect that knows a lot about this geography, I'm obviously your guy. And lastly, when you're selling your corporate brand, you want to ask questions and to find triggers. By that I mean this. There's this push-pull dynamic that happens where we sometimes get stuck trying to push too much. We want to push this. We want to push some thought leadership. We want to push how great we are. We want to push how much value we add, right? And sometimes we're so focused on pushing, we forget to pull. And by pulling, I mean, well, what keeps you up at night, prospect, client? What help did you need? Oh, you missed your son's baseball game? Why did you miss your son's baseball game? Oh, you were so overworked? There's been some downsizing? Oh, that's tough. So why is that happening? You start to ask these questions. You start to uncover triggers, triggering events, things that you can talk about that will help you sell other parts of your corporate brand. And as you're having these conversations, you also want to make sure that you're learning from these interactions and that you're tailoring the message. I remember at one stage I was in the process of trying to sell to different investor relations directors. And I went to a couple different events and talked to the investor relation directors, and I was talking about everything you could think of, right? Earnings per share, how this quarter is going, investor calls, everything. And they didn't care about any of it. Why? Because it's their day-to-day. Why would they find that interesting, right? And then at one point, I talked about some technology that I had heard about that scans the internet, over 2 billion data points, and finds all these tweets and then figures out how a company is doing in terms of its perception in the market by going out and scanning the internet. I talked about it at one point. And all of a sudden, the investor relation directors went, wait a minute, what is that? What is that? Talk to me more about that. Talk to me more about that. So what did I do? Talk to them more about that, obviously, but afterward, I crossed out every single time that I tried to talk about earnings per share, and now I replaced it with this new technology. I learned everything about that technology that I could, and as I'm selling my corporate brand to any investor relation director, do you think I wasted my time talking about earnings per share and things they don't care about? No. I talked about this new technology because I learned from my interactions and I tailored my message going forward. All right, so now that you know how to sell that corporate brand, take a second and jot down a couple of notes of how you plan to sell that corporate brand next time you're out and about.